What's going on, nerds? Welcome to my second edition to You Don't Know Squat. And so this series, what I'm doing is I pick a random topic and I enlighten you on it. So today's video is going to be about Kinnikuman / Ultimate Muscle. And so when I was first exposed to this, it was 2003. I remember in the store I saw these little action figures, Ultimate Muscle. There's these little, multicolored muscle men. And there was the action figures. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. And so I watched the show on Foxbox. And I loved it. And so I also started buying up the manga translated to English. So here's one right here. These are honestly, I think they're like the most interesting manga out there. They're just so bizarre, so goofy, but it's also really charming and very cool. It's just kind of a stack of my whole collection here, but yeah, I got the whole thing, and these things are out of print now, which they're running for like $100 each on eBay or something. Some of them at least, but yeah, that's just how I got introduced to Ultimate Muscle. But let me get into the meats and potatoes of what it actually is and why I suggest you should look into it or read it. So let me paint a word picture for you. It's 1976-ish. Two guys, don't know their names, but together they made a pen name of Yud Tamago, which means like boiled egg or rotten egg in Japanese. And so they made a little comic called Kinnikuman. At first it was kind of like a parody of Ultraman. And at the beginning they didn't really know where they wanted to go with it. He was just kind of running around doing little goofy comic things. But I think near the 4th issue or something, they did an Olympics. In this Olympics, there was superhumans wrestling in the Olympics to find out who was the best superhuman on planet Earth. And mind you, this is like intergalactic wrestling. So it's aliens and humans and superhumans all wrestling, and then in space in Japan. So it's really cool. And it actually paved the way for fighting anime and fighting manga. It came before Dragon Ball Z, before One Punch Man, before Naruto, Inuyasha, or whatever else they got that's popular now. But this was the first. And I'd like to argue that it was one of the great 80s things, right up there with Ninja Turtles, He-Man, Thundercats, Ghostbusters. Then you have Kinnikuman. I think it's right up there because in the 80s there was, this made its way to America as well back then. And these little action figures called Muscle. They were also like these little figures. They were unmovable. They're just kind of like little tan or red figures or something like that. So those were pretty popular in the 80s, and of course the people didn't know what the hell they were, because there was no content created in America for it, just the little action figures. So in Japan they actually did have a show to pair with the manga and the action figures. So in Japan it's actually very popular. I think there's a few Kinnikuman stores. Sometimes in professional wrestling you'll get a guy dressed up as Kinnikuman, or there's another character called Robin Mask. He is this British knight. He's got a mask on, like a knight helmet. But yeah, and then there's also Kinnikuman Day, which is, I believe it's on like leap year. It's the February 29th. It's like once every couple, is it 4 years or 2 years? Whenever Leap Day happens, that's when you have Kinnikuman Day in Japan. So it's kind of cool. And I just think it is so underrated. There's these guys, I don't know, they're like superhumans themselves because they have made. So in this run, this is Ultimate Muscle. In this particular run, there's 29 issues, and then they made a sequel to this one, and that's 28 issues. And then there's the original Kinnikuman, which is this is the son right here, and that's his father. That's the original Kinnikuman. That was the one in the 80s, and this is the one from the early 2000s. So this is like a legacy. That's why it says the Kinnikuman legacy. So this is his legacy. So he's, is about the kid now. But in the original run, there was something like, I want to say 40 issues or 40 volumes originally, and then they kind of stopped and then took a break, and then after they were done with the legacy ones, they went back to the original, and now they're on volume 76-ish. So that's an insane amount of manga volumes. It's one of the longest, probably the longest running manga ever, and only in English are the legacy ones. So I'm kind of pissed that there is not too much fan service for this. No one's really saying they want it here. No one's really. It's just kind of like forgotten about. It's just not really on anyone's radar. And I think that if people actually look into this stuff, they will find out how interesting it is. Like, this is, the characters are just insane. There's a guy with 6 arms. There's a guy made out of gold. There's, the night guy. It's pretty crazy. It's gory too, which is cool. I don't know. I'm just baffled why not too many people even know about it. But there is like a niche thing. There's like subreddits about it. Not too many YouTube videos or anything on it, it baffles me. It really does. Because this literally paved the way for Dragon Ball Z, which is one of the most popular ones ever. And it would not exist without this. So I think it needs. It definitely needs something. Whether it be like a new anime for Japan and English and across the world, or for someone to pick it up and translate it, because I know there's some guys online called the Machine Guns who have taken it upon themselves to go ahead and translate all the ones from Japanese into English. So you can't buy them in physical copy, which kind of sucks, but the physical copy, I really love it. It's got a distinct smell to it too, and it's got the anime smell, and I just like reading physical books, and I wish someone would pick it up. Shonen Jump picked up these ones, but I don't think it's likely that they'll do it again, especially since they're out of print now, and the prices are just skyrocketing on these right now. But well, let me actually just give you a little premise of this thing. So Kinnikuman is a sort of king of this planet Kinniku, and during that whole original run was him kind of taking the throne. Like, he was young and he was coming of age and fighting battles against, there was devils he was fighting the Olympics, and then there was this one called the Scramble for the Throne. I think this is the best one of them all, which is he was about to take the throne, and then there was these Chojin. They call them Chojin, which is like superhuman in English. Chojin gods, and they each selected a person that they wanted to support to contest for the throne. And where they found these other 5 people, excuse me, to contest for the throne was when this Kinnikuman was born. He was in the hospital. The hospital burned down, and they didn't know whose baby was who. So there was confusion as to which one was actually king, but they were pretty sure it was they grabbed the right king. So, but then these gods wanted to mix things up and say, oh, maybe it was one of these 5. So they did a giant all-out tournament. Each of the 5 teams had their own team of 5 people. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 different wrestlers all fighting in this giant scramble. And it's like a survival match. So say you got person A fighting person B. Person A wins. Then person A fights person C. Person C wins. Then he fights person F from this team. And so it's just an all-out war. And it was just one of the craziest things you could probably ever see in a manga comic. It was... Honestly, well, Dragon Ball Z does that too. So, like, someone dies and this other person just jumps in the fight. So it was really cool, but it's all in a wrestling ring. Like, that's their thing. Like, that's the whole shtick of it, is like they only fight in wrestling rings. So you'll never see like anyone fighting outside of the ring, which is it's pretty cool. It's very controlled, I guess, how they do things. It's kind of like part of their culture of this world, this Chojin culture. And so once that stopped in the mid-'80s, then it ran into the legacy ones. So, the king had his throne, he ruled, and then he had a son. And now the son is for the next generation, which was, my generation growing up, was watching Kid Muscle come of age, which is his name. And, in there he kind of has, similar things. He fights some devils. He has the Olympics, and then there's a giant tag team tournament, which is really cool. I think that and the Olympics one are the best 2 arcs of that whole series. And then after that they went on and continued the original run, which is going till today. And so now they're really getting deep into the lore with it now. I think, like, I don't even think Kinnikuman's the main character anymore, because it really wouldn't fit into the whole timeline of the Kid Muscle, because he had his stories of, when he was king, and then he kind of took a back seat and just ruled. And now, so it's all the side characters kind of coming in, and they're fighting these Chojin gods now because they're meddling in, Planet Kiniko's affairs. So now they're fighting the gods, and you get some really, really awesome character designs too. And that's one of the things that I like most about this, is the consistency with the art. I've never seen, as an artist, I've never seen someone so consistent with the drawings. I mean, it's just incredible, like the amount of detail as well. Like, everything is so perfect, like these lines, so perfect. Let me show you a little bit of what it looks like. So, I mean, this dude, this is the Olympics. He's fighting this guy called Kevin Mask. So he's one of the guys that where's the mask? See, right here. That's Kevin Mask right there. But yeah, the art is just incredible. Hands off to the guy who draws these. It's super human level of artistry. And how fast he pumps these out too, like, it is just, I wish I could be like that, because I mean, I draw and stuff too, but God, I don't know how the hell this guy makes so much, so fast, and so good. And that's what really draws me into it, is the art. The story is really cool, but just an art geek like me, I really love looking at the pictures. But yeah, really, this series, highly underrated. Highly recommend you check it out. And I think that would pretty much conclude this little episode. So, any questions, comments, leave it in the comment section. Smash that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in another one.